Take your head towel off in this country then.
Yeah, why should I take it off?
Take it off.
Why should I take it off?
It supports Muslims.
I can dress any way I want.
It supports Muslims.
It doesn't matter. This is my country.
Then go back to your country.
This is my country.
No, it's not.
Yes. Excuse me. You're being racist.
You and your family, you terrorist. Video all you want. You're an Arab. You're a loser. Trump is president.
Verbally attacked in front of families with children just for being Muslim. That yelling continued for almost 30 minutes.
I love this country.
Good for you.
I live here. I pay taxes. And I do a job.
You don't even have to explain yourself because you're just as much Canadian as me.
Thank you very much.
An IU student is now facing multiple charges. 19-year-old Tristan Bickford is accused of verbally attacking a Muslim woman.
Assalamu alaikum guys, how are you doing? I'm with Arslan from CARE,
formerly
DC.
the Seattle chapter, now in the national office.
Yeah, we were talking about these terms, derogatory terms that are thrown out there. And many people, they, just kind of just go along with the flow, like radical Islam, Islamism. What was the other ones?
Well, there's also, I don't use them because they're bad words. There's also the J word, the T word, the R word, and many, many more words that are message tested to trigger fears in people's minds.
You're saying you really don't use it. You didn't use it, but for those people that don't know what we're talking about,
I'll spell them out for you. So, T-E-R-R-O-R word. It can end with I-S-T-I-S-M. It's also the other word, jihad, and then ending with I-S-T-I-S-M.
How come you don't just say it?
Well, because these words are meant to defame, and they're, I saw the movie The Butler, you might remember, and when he goes and talks to someone and says, I don't want to say that either actually, but someone slapped him and says, these are other people's words, they're full of hate. To describe African Americans at that time.
Yeah.
So same thing here. These are words that are invented by our opponents, and they're message tested to trigger hate and fear against us. And they've become so common through repetition that even we and our allies use these words. Anyway, so if you go to CARE Seattle, C-A-I-R Seattle.org/Seattle Times, you'll find the research that we did on the Seattle Times coverage, the interns at CARE Seattle did, and we found that words like the I word, I-S-L-A-M, I-S-T, I-S-M, were used 388 times in 1 year, in the year 2012. 2/3 of that time they were used to describe a Muslim person in a violent, negative way. The J word was used 120 times. Only once was it used to describe a person's struggle. Every other time it was used to describe negative violence by Muslim persons. So really these are code words that are meant to trigger fear and hate. They're full of hate, and they're words that we need to get rid of from style books and style guides. Some of these words are codified in style guides now. The Islamist is in the AP style book. It wasn't there until the year 2010 or 2011. So it's the work of our opponents, of anti-Muslim hate groups, to codify these terms, to normalize them, and to make them words that we see now literally hundreds of times a day. What's wrong with them? Well, when we see hate crimes rising in the last 8 years, not in 2011, not in 2001, 2002, 2003, but in the last 8 years is when we've seen hate crimes rise, and we've seen public opinion of Islam drop drastically. It's in the last 8 years, not when you might think it would have happened, but recently. We've also seen these exact same words that are used in headlines every single day being used by people who are attacking children and women, right? So the same slurs that are being used about us in mainstream headlines, not right-wing or left-wing, but mainstream media, are being used by people who are attacking and often killing Muslim persons. So you see the connection between hate speech and hate crimes. Hate speech leads to hate crimes, and we have to make sure that mainstream media, those that call themselves mainstream and honest, are using accurate terms to tell our stories. It's our job to actually, tell those stories, and it's our job to have mainstream media be more responsible, be more accurate, and be informative in the way they tell and educate the average person. Their job is to use words that help understanding, and their job is to get rid of words that become obstacles in understanding.
How much is actually spent annually? It's become a big business. If you want to make money,
sure.
This manufactured hate and fear, the Islamophobia machine, how much is actually spent, yearly on this false propaganda against Muslims and Islam?
Yeah, so according to CARE's research, about $210 million were spent just in the past few years. by just a few foundations to fund anti-Muslim hate groups. There's also the inner core of anti-Muslim groups that just do anti-Muslim work and nothing else. There's also the outer core. And if you go to Islamophobia.org, you'll find this data out there. It's very easy to find online. But the real focus again is the impact that it has on the lives of women, children, our own families. That's the real impact. It's not about the money, it's about the impact it's having on our lives. Again, hate crimes against Muslims and American Muslims are at record highs today, this year, not back when you might have thought they would have been highest. This year might be a record-breaking year in U.S. history of hate crimes against American Muslims. It's really our job again to make sure that our neighbors and allies are using language that helps us, helps our neighbors understand our lives, and definitely not use terms that have been coined, have been research tested to trigger fears against our families.
Do you have any story, a real story, that people who have come from this perspective now, they've been kind of affected by the hate machine, but they've actually connected with you guys at CARE, or they've connected with some masjids, with some people, and they've had a change of heart when they've really gotten to connect with Muslims? Have you had anybody like that?
You know, I haven't met people personally myself. My good friends in the Seattle area have told some good stories about people who met with American Muslims in a local mosque, and you know, it's really a matter of telling our stories and educating people about our lives, our hopes, our dreams, our children, our families. And when people come to understand that American Muslims simply want to have their children succeed and their families succeed in the traditional American way by working hard and making sure their kids are getting good educations, when they understand that, when they hear those stories, that's when they turn around and come to see us as their neighbors. And our job again is to help our own community members keep the focus on our stories, our contributions, and not repeat the information that's put out by the other side. It's simply to tell our stories all day, every day, and use every platform we have, social media, emails to editors, speeches that we make, to keep telling our stories and help people understand our families, our lives, our hopes and dreams.
What advice do you guys give for people who are feeling discriminated? They're facing this Islamophobia. What advice do you give for them?
Number one, report cases. You know, you help not only yourself, but the entire community each time you report a case to your local CARE office. And if you want to find a local office anywhere in the country, just simply go to care.com, CAIR.com. So CAIR.com, toward the bottom there, it'll tell you all the chapters that we have. And if you don't have a chapter in your local state, just call the national office at 202-488-8787, 202-488-8787, or just email info@care.com, or you can actually download the app, cair.com/app, so care.com/app. Once you have that app, you can report cases right there on your phone, and you get daily news briefs as well. So reporting cases not only helps you, because we are then able to provide free legal help to help you, but it also helps us document cases. And again, by telling your story, we're able to actually see trends. So suppose you have something happen to your daughter at a school, and suppose we get another case from a different school, but in the same school district. And then we can start saying, well, you know, there might be something more than just one case going on here, and let's take it up with the school district, and let's make sure this systematic changes that are made to prevent these things from happening, because it seems like it's happening more than once. But we wouldn't know that unless we got cases from many people. So reporting really helps. It doesn't just help you, it helps our entire community.
And let's close with what we started in the beginning, these derogatory names that are concocted, invented. Islamists, you don't even want to say them. I mean, you're pros.
They're bad words. We don't say
bad words, right? You know, jihadist, radical Islam. For many of community leaders who fall into it, and they start repeating these words. What advice do you have for them?
Well, you know, just know that these words are research tested to trigger fears in people's minds, and that's why our opposition has coined them. They repeat them over and over again in their messaging. And you mentioned, you know, the funding that anti-Muslim groups have. It's not really about the funding. It's the well-coordinated work they're doing. So the same messages you'll hear from anti-Muslim groups that are right-wing, anti-Muslim groups that are left-wing, that are in all walks of life, because they know that those words have power. Your words become your thoughts become your actions. That really is true. And when you repeat something over and over again enough times, it taints that community with that term, with that idea. And that's kind of what's been happening with American Muslims. And I really mean that. I mean, American Muslims, according to all known research, and if you go to islamfactcheck.org, you'll find research like American Muslim women being the second highest educated religious group of women in the country, and American Muslim medical doctors, there's 50,000 American Muslim medical doctors. That means 1 out of every 18 medical doctors in the country is saving lives every day. Thousands upon thousands of police officers serving our country. So the facts are so far removed from what you're hearing in the media that it's really our job to focus on the facts and not use terms that are, again, research tested to trigger fears against American Muslims.
Thank you very much, brother, for sharing that with us.
My pleasure. Thanks again.
Thank you. And if you guys have any questions, you want to learn more about Islam, don't go to the Islamophobes. Come to us. Continue to tune in every week to The Dean Show. We'll see you next time. Peace be with you. Assalamu alaikum.